The election of 1929 took place against a backdrop of lingering industrial unrest from the general strike a few years earlier. The Yorkshire Post reported the rather boisterous scenes that accompanied the canvassing in Leeds.
Mr. Osbert Peake, the Conservative candidate for North Leeds, met with a great deal of noisy opposition at a meeting outside a clothing factory in Cardigan Fields at noon yesterday. Obviously, a large proportion of the crowd of between 300 and 400 had absorbed erroneous ideas regarding Mr. Baldwin's attitude to the general strike, and the strike was the main theme of some highly coloured heckling.
But there was another aspect of this election that would have a major bearing on its outcome. Women over the age of 30 who met certain property qualifications had been able to vote since 1918. But in 1928, the Representation of the People Act extended the voting franchise to all women over the age of 21. For the first time in 1929, millions of young women had a say in who ran the country. The results in Leeds were typical of those from industrial communities all over the country. The Right Honourable R.D. Denman overturned a Conservative majority of 5,000 to become the Labour MP for Leeds Central and was carried shoulder high through the streets by his jubilant supporters.
The first general election after the war was held in 1945 and was another hotly contested affair that saw Labour sweep to power. Mr. Winston Churchill, Britain's pilot during 5 of the most critical years of this country's history, has resigned, and Mr. Attlee, leader of the Labour Party, has accepted the King's invitation to form a government. These events followed the announcement of the general election results, which showed a sweeping turnover in favour of a left-wing administration. One of the winners in Leeds made a little bit of local history. Miss Alice Bacon, 35, Leeds North East, is the first woman ever to represent a Leeds division. Miss Bacon, born in Yorkshire, has been a member of the Labour Party since she was 16. 3 years later, in 1948, the Labour Party delivered one of their major election promises when the National Health Service came into being.